This is the Book Deal podcast,
where you will discover the inspiring stories behind your favourite books.
We interview seasoned and debut authors, as well as publishing industry professionals, to bring you the best tips and advice on how to get that elusive book deal.
So no matter what stage of writing you're at, we've got you covered. I'm Tina Strawn.
I'm Madeleine Cleary.
And I'm Natasha Rye.
And join us as we pull back the curtain of published authors.
One deal at a time. The Book Deal podcast acknowledges the traditional owners of the land and waters which it's recorded on, and pays respect to their elders past, present and emerging.
Jessie Tu is a journalist for Women's Agenda. Her debut novel, A Lonely Girl is a Dangerous Thing, won the ABA 2020 Literary Fiction Book of the Year. The Honey Eater is her second novel. Hey, Jessie Tu, welcome to the Book Deal podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been a while since we've had a chat.
Yeah.
So we always start our episodes to inviting our guests to give us an elevator pitch for their novel. So your latest novel that's out is The Honey Eater. So could I please have your elevator pitch for that, Jessie?
Sure. It's my elevator pitch would be a young Asian Australian translator has a very intense falling out with her mentor.
Oh, okay, good. That's it. Intriguing. So I read it when it first came out. I was at your launch actually in Sydney, and I loved it. And actually, I have some questions that I'll have to ask you offline because it'll be spoilers. How long did it take you to write it?
I'd say from the very beginning, the first draft to it coming out in big bookstores, 3.5 years.
Yes, yeah. And what's your process? Like, did you take a break from it, edit? Like, how did you do it?
Yeah, so this one, like every book is so different. I really don't have a routine when it comes to creating a new book. I think every new idea or book comes along in its own way. And this one really started from travel diaries that I took while I was overseas. Because the book is in 3 sections. One of the sections that kicks off the book is set in Paris. And I did take a trip with my mum, like the protagonist does with my mum, to Paris several years ago. And it actually maybe even started off like as wanting to be a sort of travel memoir. Like I wanted to process some deep feelings I had, complicated feelings I had while I was on that trip. But I think it was sort of plotless. And so I just took those memories that I had and then put up really some intense plotting. And I made the characters, I raised the stakes, gave them more interesting lives than I do. And then really, I remember even working on it during COVID, I really just set myself the task of writing 1,000 words a day, because I know that the initial draft was like 30,000 words and I needed to increase that, obviously, and so I just made myself pump out 1,000 words a day, which I never do. Like, that's not how I generally work. But for this story, that's how the genesis evolved.
And on the days you couldn't get there, did you just kind of keep pushing, or were you like,
yeah,
I'll try?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did, Tash. I just, and the thing with pushing is like, I just had to say, okay, it doesn't matter if this is crap. And obviously 75% of it is crap, but maybe even 95%, but you do it because there's that possibility of, gems inside all of that crap.
Yeah. And you, at the time you were writing it, did you have a publishing deadline, or were you writing it because you just wanted to write it?
Yeah, the latter. Yeah.
So one of the things I've noticed about you, because you've got 2 novels, your first one is A Lonely Girl is a Dangerous Thing. Excellent title. Did you come up with that?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
It's such a good title.
Oh, thank you.
How did like was it like just something that came to you as you were writing, or did you always know that was going to be the title?
Well, I think I definitely it came out. It was inspired by Emma McBride's "Girl is a Half Form Thing." You know that
Yes,
title?
yes,
Yeah.
I
So
do.
I thought that was such a there's a nice rhythm
Mm.
to that title, and then I just kind of expanded on that. Really.
I love, oh my God, I love that book so much. So I read it, I think, very, very fast. I had to keep telling myself to calm down and slow down because it was so propulsive. The character's name is Jenna. And I remember sitting in a park in Sydney before going into training and reading a section and then like sobbing while this person who was, I think, a rough sleeper was just staring at me while I was just sobbing. And I'm like, okay, I should be sobbing here because, this person probably doesn't have anywhere to sleep. And here I am sobbing over this girl. Anyway, but I think one of the things that struck me about both your novels is how beautifully you write relationships, especially the mother-daughter relationship. Like, there's just so much in it that fascinates me in terms of like the kind of push and pull between the mother and daughter and how much love there is, and also, I guess, I don't know if hatred is too strong a
Oh,
word,
I don't
but
think it's strong. I think it's accurate.
yeah, but there's both in that very kind of, I don't know. I think if anyone's ever had a mother or has
Mm.
had that relationship dynamic, like there are times you like really, really dislike each other, and you find it difficult to figure out what you like about each other, and it just felt so natural is not the right word, but realistic, like that dynamic of that push and pull. And you've spoken pretty openly about that dynamic yourself. So, how do you, like, is that always like your starting point, or do you suddenly realize as you're writing that there's a mother daughter relationship that you want to explore, or is that just something you're working through? Like, how does that go for you?
Do you know what? I'm very much the firm believer that when you sit down to write as a creative or if you sit down to paint as an artist, whatever you're deeply interested in will just come out. You can't help it. And every single story that I've sat down to write, somehow always there's always a mother that springs up. And I think that it just must be that because I've had such intense, complicated feelings that are perhaps still unresolved between my mother and I, even though I've had 20 years of therapy. And, my mother and I are at a place where we're incredibly healthy. I call her every day, but that hasn't always been the case. I was a voracious diary keeper I still keep a diary. And in my teenage years, I'd say the high school years, the 6 of high school, I filled in 20 notebooks of diaries. And I'd say to you, Tash, that 18 of them were just full of like swearing at my mother. Like I'm not kidding. They're like violently, vehemently, like I hate my mom. Like it's just really violent teenage
Mm,
feelings.
mm,
And yeah, it's because like I think all women have complicated relationships with their mothers. I think you can't and I thought like I would love to know other people's opinions about this, but I think it's because like there you and I, even like our mother's generation, they had a lot of opportunities that we don't. Every generation,
mm.
women's rights are constantly shifting, and so it's only natural that the that the relationship between two women in the same family who have been, raised in the same sort of like the lineage of that in a sort of societal way, it just one when they live together in the same household, there's bound to be tension and friction because it's
Mm.
just of the way the world continues to treat women.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about my own mum, and part of my dynamic with her was like, she was a migrant to this country, and that kind of real tension between like what was familiar for her growing up as a teenager and then a young adult and then a young woman compared to like my experiences, and that kind of constant tension of me having this judgment about, well, I know that I can go to this party and be safe, but for her that was such a weird, difficult concept. And then that kind of, but also because of maybe, and I'm talking very specifically about me, I'm not making any kind of sweeping statements about cultural identity, but in my situation, like we just didn't have language to kind of do that together. Like tell me, like I didn't even know how to say to her, like, not that I would as a freaking 16-year-old, but like, what are you scared about? Like, tell me about it, you know. I could now, but I don't know. Like, I think maybe for me that was also a dynamic, the cultural differences.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, everything you're saying mirrors my own experience. Absolutely. And also, like you and I, we don't just have that intergenerational friction. We also have the intercultural, like, you know, different cultures clashing
Yeah.
between our parents and between our parents and ourselves. And yeah, there is like even there was just no language. Yeah, like you say. And I think that the idea of emotionally expressing your needs and wants and desires, like it just was not, it's not a thing
I know. I'm laughing
in
not
our
because
household.
I'm laughing
Yeah.
at you, but just the thought of that, like emotional
Yeah.
expression. It's
Yeah.
just like, what is that?
Yeah. And also, but because my parents grew up, you know, with very, very kind of like my grandfather, for instance, my father's dad, he starved during the Chinese Civil War. And so for my dad, just the fact that we were fed meant that he was the best dad in the world, like in his eyes, you know?
Yes,
And so
yes.
like, yeah, I like the idea that we had internal emotional lives did not even cross his mind because he wasn't raised that way. Like he didn't have parents who cared for his emotional well-being. Because it's like, as long as I fed you and clothed you and housed you, I'm a great father, according to them.
Yeah, exactly. But also, like, you know, what strikes me about your characters specifically, that the rebellion and the kind of pushing away of becomes almost part of the character's worldview. Like both Faye and Jenna are like, they are despite their mothers almost. Like maybe I'm just reading it too deeply, but do you know what I mean by that? Like it
I
just felt,
do.
yeah. And so even like with Faye's relationship with her mentor, it was all this kind of unspoken um, comparisons between, well, you're like this with me and my mother is like this. And I'm just curious about characters who are so shaped by relationship, because, you know, so many people are shaped by their environments and their experiences, but these characters are really shaped by this primary relationship, which I thought was really interesting as a reader.
Yeah. I think also because I'm obsessed with women. Like I'm obsessed with other women, especially older women,
Mm.
because
Oh my God, I
ultimately,
used to be as well. I think I
yeah,
still am. Yeah.
yeah, because like
Yeah.
ultimately they're the like when I have this thing like when I go out in public and I see an old woman walking on the street, or if I see an older woman, an elderly woman like having coffee by herself or whatever, like I always notice older women because I'm like, that'll be me. Like they are literally the embodiment of, hopefully if I get to grow old, they're the embodiment of the life that I will one day have.
Mm,
And
mm,
so I want to understand them and I want to get to know them, and I want them to teach me something.
mm. So you're really interested in their kind of what they have figured out about
Yeah, I
themselves in
think
the
so.
world? Yeah.
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 I think in my 20s especially, I was like I had a lot of really old female friends
Oh my God, me
because
too.
yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't like some quirk, like weird kinky quirk thing. Like I wouldn't, you know, go out of my way to like befriend them. It's just I was drawn to them and I wanted to spend time with them because I think I had this really perhaps naive view that the more they taught me about the mistakes they made in their lives, the more I could learn from them and then not make the mistakes myself, you know? I mean,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
obviously
Okay.
that's like a weird way to live, but I genuinely was like, you know, I could learn from these women. And I think by osmosis, like I was a teacher for many years before I started writing books.
Mm,
And as a teacher, you're surrounded by a lot of women. especially a lot of older women, right? Like I was a teacher in my 20s, so I was often the youngest person in a staff room.
Mm.
And the thing that I constantly picked up from older women was like what the kind of what a good man looks like and what a bad man looks like. Like, because
Oh.
I remember in the staff room, like teachers love to gossip.
Mm.
They love to talk about their private lives. And I remember being especially drawn to women who were divorced because they had the best advice about what kind of men to avoid.
Do you remember all the advice still?
Oh yeah, it was like the one piece of most important advice that I think is like I wish I could tell every 25-year-old woman is don't fall for a charming man.
Oh, that's good.
Like charismatic men. Like
Yeah,
charismatic
yeah.
men, I'm always very suspicious of charismatic men.
Is it because like they can spin the words, but they don't follow it up with
Oh,
any
like I'm
substance?
suspicious not just of charismatic men. I'm generally suspicious of anyone who's very well put together and like performs well, is not awkward, just someone who's very manicured in their speech. I am really suspicious of those kind of people.
Interesting. That's I want to talk to you more about that, but maybe offline. So you were journaling all through your like I guess adolescence. Were you also a reader?
No, I'd say not as much. No, I didn't grow up in a household of readers. Um, my parents were much more like practically minded people. We watched a lot of movies. I think that was my foray into storytelling. I watched a
Oh,
lot of movies. Movies are my first love.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and I only started reading seriously well into my 20s.
And what kind of inspired you to start or stick with it, reading wise?
Reading.
Mm.
I think my reading and my feminism very much came alive at the same time. So I was angry with the world, and feminism was a way to explain and help me give voice to all the things I was angry about.
Ah, okay. That's so interesting. And is that how you started writing about
Uh,
that, or
yeah, I
did
think like I started reading a lot of women writers who wrote about their lives. Like I was really into memoirs
Mm-hmm.
by women.
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot of Deborah Levy. Like Deborah Levy's autobiographical trilogy is like just a work of art that has completely helped me identify my own sort of desire or power that I want, the kind of woman that I want to aspire to be.
Mm.
Um, and I think I was inspired to write because I read these female writers who saved me, like really, really saved me. Like when I say saved me, I literally mean in my late 20s, I was at the very low point in my life, like emotionally.
Mm.
And then I read Olivia Laing's The Lonely City. Have you heard of that book?
No, I
Oh,
haven't.
okay. So it's a collection of essays, like a book about New York, sort of American artists
Mm-hmm.
who painted about loneliness.
Ooh.
So she has a chapter on David Wojnarowicz, on Andy Warhol, on Edward Hopper, and talks about the way in which they embodied loneliness and then they turned it into beautiful art. And then she also in the book it's a collection of essays, but it's also blends memoir. So she writes about her own feelings of loneliness while she was in New York. And I think I read it while I was in New York, feeling extremely lonely. And there was just this one line where she says like she felt shame about being lonely that really, really healed something in me because I was like, this is someone who has described exactly how I feel. And I felt less alone. Like I was like, here's one woman who's, clearly very intelligent. And she has also gone through an embarrassing breakup in
Mm.
sort of like later stage in her life. And like, in hindsight, I was like, oh my God, you were like 27, you're so young, it's stupid. But when I was that age, I felt really old
Yeah.
and embarrassed for having a breakup. And just the fact that she had written about it made me feel less lonely. And I think I write because ultimately I just want to make one person feel less lonely.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. And is that how you started writing Lonely Girl?
Yeah, it must have been because I started it when I was in New York, yeah, and feeling very lonely. And I just had a lot I needed to get off my chest. So
Mm,
the first draft came out very quickly. And then I think I was also nearing 30. And at that point in my life, I was feeling like, okay, if I'm going to write a book, I better do it now because I was so sick of hearing myself saying, oh, I'd like to write a book and not doing anything about it.
So then when you started writing, like, how did it come together? Did you know the form? Because it sounds like you were reading so many different types of things.
Yeah,
How,
that's a good question.
how did it come to be a novel?
So I I made it into a novel, like a fiction, because I wanted to make it ridiculous. Like, obviously, I took my own life as a starting point because I was a violinist. Um, and, but then I was like, I'll have more fun if I make this fiction. Yeah, so a lot of the events I describe in the book are just very exaggerated versions of stuff I went through. So I like the sort of parties that I went to in the inner west of Sydney and in New York and in Bushwick and all that. I just had experienced it myself, but then on the page I was like, this will be so much fun if I create more characters that are a bit more ludicrous than not just myself, but the people I met.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really came from a place of like, I'll have more fun and have more liberties if I make this if I make this fiction.
And at the time, what kind of work were you doing? Were you doing like book related work, or were you doing like random jobs, or
Oh, I was a teacher.
oh, you're still teaching then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, you taught in New York?
No, I taught in Sydney.
Oh, I was going to say
Yeah.
that's brave. So tell me what happened after you finished your draft. What did you do with it?
I sent it out to a couple of agents
Hmm.
after after I reached about 80,000 words. I was like, okay, this sounds like this lengthwise is pretty normal for a novel. And I got picked up by the agent that I represented the book, Melanie Ostel. It happened very fast, within like 2 months, I'd say, from the time I sent the email to me signing up with her. Yeah, we revised the manuscript a couple of times over
Hmm.
a couple of months before she sent it out to publishers.
And were there big rewrites? Like, do you remember?
No, I don't think they were big rewrites. I think a lot of it was structuring, to be
Okay.
honest.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had never written a book. I didn't, and I was also not a huge novel reader. So I couldn't tell you, like, I couldn't say what I had nothing, like, I had no idea how to pace a book, the ups and downs, the troughs, like, I didn't know any of that. I just had like a series of scenes where like something intense happened, something less intense happened. I had like dramatic dialogue and then I had backstory. Like, it was just a matter of shaping the story and putting them into an order that was most compelling.
Wow, that's incredible that out of that, like putting that together and using your instinct, you got
Oh,
picked up.
well, I had really amazing, like Melanie is incredible. And I also was lucky because I had amazing editors look at it as well.
So once you started sending it out, like, what kind of feedback were you getting from publishers?
It was mostly positive. Yeah, yeah. I was in hindsight, I'm very grateful for this kind of positive reception I got immediately. But yeah, to be honest, I really just was not expecting I didn't know what to expect, so I didn't expect anything. Obviously, you put a work of art out in the world and you hope that someone would read it, you know. And I think as long as as long as I knew that it was being funneled through people's hands, like people were reading it, then yeah, I was happy. Like, I didn't need people to love the book. I just wanted
Wow,
people to read it.
you're so chill. Like that sounds so healthy and like so good because like it's a very what's the right word? Like it's a terrifying time for a lot of new writers and emerging writers when they send their work out and it's being read by either an agent or a publishing house, and it's like that weight can be torturous. But you were like, oh, whatevs. Like I'm just glad someone's reading it. That sounds amazing.
Well, yeah, I think I was pretty chill about it. I
Mm.
think I don't know, maybe I'm in just like another place at the moment, but
So did you have like the writer's dream where more than one publisher wanted to publish it?
yes, I did.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, and how did you end up deciding on the publisher you went with?
Because of her track record. Yeah,
Ah, okay.
she's published a lot of authors that I admire. So yeah,
Okay.
that was a pretty easy decision.
Okay. Well, that's good because I guess what you're talking about there. So I'm just making it specific for listeners who are thinking about this kind of stuff. Like it sounds like for you, it was about this person, this editor, this publisher understands the type of work I want to put out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Hi, Book Deal podcast listeners. Lindsay Bartels here, the author of Imogen in Waiting, a memoir of modern reproduction, which came out on June 16th in English worldwide with the new women-centric small traditional publisher, Third Rail Press out of the US. It is about my experience as a BRCA1 genetic mutation carrier and how, when I found out I had this cancer-causing predisposition, I had this incredible opportunity to not pass it on to my children and their children by undergoing IVF. This was the only way my husband and I knew to prevent cancer for future generations, and we thought, what a privilege and what a legacy to leave behind. But as it turned out, I came face to face with an embryo who was essentially just like me, a potential that was female and also had this cancer-causing gene. When I learned this information, I pause because I think I'm grateful for my life and would choose it every single time. And my parents, they didn't have this information and they didn't have this choice, and thank goodness for that. So how do I make this choice? It's very challenging, and in order to remember it, to preserve it, to capture this experience, I tell my story about whether or not I bring this embryo into being to the embryo, who I call Imogen. I hope it brings readers hope for a way forward, no matter what impossible decision in their own lives they might be facing, and it shows the way I become my own best advocate, how I learn to listen to my own inner truths, and the development in my capacity as a woman, wife, and mother that I discover along the way. I hope you enjoy it.
And so how was that first publication experience after that? Like, was it a big whirlwind? Like, were you like, this is so cool? Was it torturous? Were you just chill the whole way through? Like, oh yeah, cool.
I thought it was a lot of fun. Like I loved it. I really enjoyed that initial, like the publication and everything, because I was learning. It was my first time,
Mm.
and it was also during COVID, so I didn't do any in-person events. I did online events, um, which was just like meant that I didn't have to worry so much about performing, which always takes a lot of energy out of
Mm.
me. Like,
Mm.
like appearing on a panel or just like being in front of a group of strangers is always going to be exhausting for me. Like, it's not necessarily un it's not necessarily unenjoyable,
Mm.
but it's always exhausting for me because I hate being perceived. Like I hate being perceived. I just don't like being seen, like I'm happy
Oh,
to like
yeah.
write and but like my sort of like ultimate job is never to have to talk to anyone. I just like if I could write emails to people for the rest of my life,
You do
like
that.
yeah, yeah. And then I just talk to like my friends and family, that's enough. But like anyone outside of that, like I feel like I have to be on.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. So you got was it a one book deal or did they want more? Yeah, okay.
It was a one book deal.
Okay. So how long was it between Lonely Girl and The Honey Eater?
It was 4 years.
Yes. Okay. So I remember, because at your Sydney launch for the Honey Eater, you were in conversation with Animal Crab, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not stalking you. I just remember this stuff.
No, yeah.
So I remember you said something about you had written something else
Yeah.
and you had shown it to a few people and they were like, this is not good.
Yeah.
So you shelved it. And then,
Mm.
so tell me more about that. Like what happened? How do you know when something is working and something's not? You know, you've written a few things now. So you've,
Mm.
like, it's not like a Lonely Girl where you were learning stuff still. Yeah. What's that like for you?
That I think was a manuscript that I wrote um, where I was trying to be really experimental, but I really didn't land on a clear idea. So the manuscript ended up being sort of slosh, sort of like gooey, um, gooey scrambled eggs or something. Like it just didn't have a center.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently reread it, and because I was hoping that I could go back and see something in it and maybe revive it,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't see anything in it that excited me. I think I wrote it very
Oh.
quickly, and I was interested in it was about a group of musicians who had this obsessive relationship with a conductor, and and I think the question I was trying to answer, 6 years ago, no longer interests me now. And so that's
Okay.
how I decided that this book wasn't going to see the light of day, because I was like, um, I'm not curious about what the book was trying to be.
Mm.
And a project needs to at least have the artist be curious about the
Oh, for
story.
sure.
Yeah.
And if you're experimenting with form, is that something that kind of comes organically out of it because of what the questions you're asking? Or is that something you go in going, I really want to try, I don't know, verse, or I really want to try a fragmented point of view? I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think I was a bit too eager to try a different form, and then I didn't have a strong enough idea. I think that was the sort of error there.
Mm.
Yeah. But I think ultimately you need to have something interesting to say before you try and say it. But
Yeah.
I only wanted to play around with a different type of form, and I didn't really know what I was trying to say. I think that's what was
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah.
there.
Mm. Because I know that sometimes, you know, with the emerging writers, if they're playing with form, like the question that I've heard being asked is, why this? Why this vehicle or why this expression? Like, what is it that you need to explore through that? So I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
Mm. The things the truth that the other thing that struck me about both your books are that I guess these women that you're writing about would be classified as difficult characters or difficult people because you know they're quite prickly. But I love reading books that have difficult or unlikable characters. Um, do you set out to write someone like that, or is it just how it turns out?
I write myself on the page, and so I must be like a prickly person. Um,
I meant
no,
just, you know, in terms of conventional literature and what people might, when they read, you
uh-huh.
know, like these are not conventional people, is what I'm saying. Like
Well,
they,
first of all, they're Asian, and I
mm,
like rare. I don't read a lot of, like, you don't, in Australia, it's not the mainstream to read an Asian female character. So
true.
that's, number one.
Mm,
And I'm just interested in. I write the female. I write characters who I am curious about, and a woman who's compliant and has nothing interesting to say, and doesn't voice her opinion just doesn't interest me.
mm,
And so, yeah, I get really like, it's so interesting when I hear about people casting judgment on my characters, because I'm like, wow, okay, so this is how it's just interesting how the way women on the page are interpreted, because it makes me think about the way women are interpreted in society at large, you know?
yeah, yeah, I do. And I
Yeah.
think, and what I'm referring to as well is not just their opinions, but the kind of vulnerability and the rawness of their internal worlds, because you don't see that often with
Right.
women. Like with women, like, you know, you can read, I don't know, some because I read a lot, and books that really have that interiority or that kind of very raw, uncensored, almost unfiltered
Yeah.
descriptions, or just showing you what it's actually like to be inside this person. Like,
Uh-huh.
I really love that, because it's like I love when the characters on the page and they're doing something that if you didn't have the interiority, you'd be like, oh, that's
Right.
bitchy, or that's mean, or that kind of
Yeah.
typical way we describe women. But
Yeah.
when you have that interiority, it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
Totally get how this person operates in this specific world and in their life. And I
Yeah.
love that, because it feels to me that I can just really embrace someone like that in terms of understanding what's happening, in a way that sometimes when you read something that's a bit more smooth, or someone's a bit more kind of compliant, it's like, and like
Hmm.
some bad shit's happened to you, like, and whereas
Hmm.
it's like when there's like this kind of grossness or vulnerability or like some intensity, I'm like, yes, show me more of that. I get really excited
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. I
Mm.
completely agree.
So, and I think because, as you said, as women come across on the page, it's just they seem difficult in some way. Because my character from my debut novel was, a few people are like, she's so difficult. I really didn't like her. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I was,
doesn't and then
mm.
doesn't that tell you something about that person who says that?
That tells me something about the types of books that are out there, and how a lot of women are portrayed in books, and how women that have a bit more, maybe a character, I'm talking about women that have a bit more realness to them somehow, or that kind of, messiness of life. Like, women fart and they do things like
Yeah.
that, and they
Yeah.
sweat, and they
Yeah.
and they have sex drives, and they vomit, and all of that grossness of life. Not that sex drive is gross, but you know what I mean. When you see that on a real person on the page, for some reason, it seems to me that female characters are like, I don't want to know about that, So that was a very long-winded comment, but I really love how you do that, is what I'm saying, that they really speak to me of something very real.
Oh, thank you.
Mm.
Yeah. I think I just because I want to see that. I want to see more of that in the world.
Yeah, me too.
I hate opacity. I hate opaqueness.
Mm.
Like and I hate it in my daily life. Like if I meet a person and they're like reserved and they don't give me much, like I'm immediately like, okay, I'm not gonna be curious about you because you're not giving me anything. Like I like
Yeah.
really transparent people
Mm.
because
Yeah.
ultimately the conversations I've had with people who are transparent, they make me feel less lonely, Like
Mm.
when they open up about, say, just like quotidian marriage struggles, I'm like, oh, okay, that's normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, because it's that shared life experience, right? Of, oh, okay, I'm
Yeah,
not alone in this, and I'm not suffering on my own.
yeah.
Yeah. So you also work as a book critic, right? How does that shape or inform how you write, if at all?
I realized the other day that I've been reviewing since 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, 6 years. And
Mm.
it really must have had some impact if I think about it. I don't consciously think about how it changes me, only because like that's not my full-time job. I do I've cut back on it since having a child, but I used to do 2 reviews a month. So like, it was a good pace. But I think it made me just I think the questions I ask myself when I write, sit down to write, maybe changed.
Oh,
And maybe because I was reviewing other people, I got a bit stricter with myself as well.
how?
Um, I would like read my own work and say to myself, am I getting bored? And because the metric I sort of used in assessing other people's work was like, am I enjoying this? Am I having a good time? or is the writer doing anything interesting on the page? And for me, when I sit down to write, maybe I started asking those questions myself. And I think that can sometimes be a hindrance, because when the ultimate state to write in is to write without thinking about the audience as well. Like, in my opinion, obviously for other things it's different. Like, um, I think if you were writing for comedy, you have to think about the audience, obviously. But for novels, at least the novels that I try and write, I don't want to think about the audience, because ultimately I just want to think about what I'm trying to do and whether or not I'm succeeding in what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I like that. I agree with you, because I also write for myself primarily first.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever have anyone in mind,
Yeah, I
which is
agree.
very
I mean,
freeing. Yeah.
it is, exactly.
Mm.
Because like, where else in your life are you completely unaccountable to someone,
Exactly. Yeah. And you can totally be as crazy as you want in your own mind and your own page. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. So being a new parent and having all the, life commitments on top, what does your writing practice or routine look like now?
Non-existent.
Okay.
I think I get 10 minutes to write in my diary every night. That is that's the best I can hope for. Honestly,
Okay.
I get so much joy from having that 10 minutes to myself at the end of the night while my partner puts her to bed, and I get to just write, like, kind of what you said before, write whatever I feel like, and it's so freeing. And it just makes me reminds me that I have an internal world of my own that I get to jump into. It's really great.
Does it worry you, like, not having as much time as you used to right
Oh,
now?
totally. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
totally. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do worry, because I don't want to be forgotten. Like, I still want people to look forward to my books, and if it's like 10 years before my next one, then inevitably I will, fade from people's public consciousness, and I don't want to do that. I wish I had something coming out, but life circumstances, just priorities. It's just a state. It's just a season in my life where I'm taking a back step from, making kind of public work. But privately, I'm like still as eager as ever to to make work. Yeah.
And I like how you said that it's a season.
Yeah, yeah. And
Mm.
I really hate and resent the jump back. What do the women call it? Sort of snack back into work mode after having a baby. There's a
Oh,
term. See,
oh, is that?
I don't even know, because I'm so offline these days, and like intentionally I absolutely resent being online, and I haven't been on Instagram for weeks, like months, and I that's also very intentional, and I love not having to perform online or to be online. But I hate the expectation that women are rewarded if they um get back to their former selves in terms of productivity pre-baby. And I'm like, I really want to work against that. Like, I want to take my life slow, you know, and all this chat about AI and convenience of technology and all that. I hate the valuing of convenience these days. I hate that convenience and productivity are rewarded. Like, I want to take my life really slow. Like, obviously, I would love to have a book published, every year if I could. But then a part of me is like, no, actually, like, it's okay to to move slowly through the world, because it feels more. I just think it aligns more healthily with my own values.
Yeah. And also, like, it's such a dumb thing that we've set up. Like, society wants us to value family, but then there's not enough time to be with family. Like, you can't really work, as you say, like you used to, and have a child and give that child attention and care that
Yeah,
child
yeah,
deserves.
exactly.
Like, the
Yeah,
two don't
yeah.
go together.
Yeah, exactly. It's completely incompatible. Yeah.
Mm. So I am aware that you have to go, but so the final question I have is, do you have any top tips for emerging and aspiring authors?
The best tip I'd say is to keep working. Like I said, it sounds like I'm contradicting myself from what I said before, but what I mean by working is like keep doing what you love and keep trying, like perseverance basically, like keep going
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
Whatever you're trying to do, just keep at it, and you have to be your number one cheerleader. Like no one else is. Like I'm I'm writing something at the moment where like I'm trying to process how difficult it is for me to do the work of creatively writing novels while also being a full-time mum. Um, and there's a line in there where I say, the baby needs me, the book doesn't. Like when you have a crying baby, of course you got to tend to the baby, but the book will always be there, and it won't. Like the book will not. Nothing will happen to the book if you don't tend to it. You know. So if you want to make work, just keep working on it. Just keep at it, because no one else no one else is going to force you to do it. Like you have to be the one to want to make that into something and then to share it with the world. It's just like, yeah, back yourself basically.
Yeah. I
You
like
have
it.
to back yourself.
Yes. I love it. Thank you so much. That was so amazing. I wish I could talk to you for another hour just about difficult women. But that's a chat for another time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tash.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Book Deal podcast. If you are enjoying the pod, we'd really appreciate you following or sharing the show in your podcast directory, checking us out on Instagram and Facebook, or supporting us through our Patreon community at patreon.com/the Book Deal podcast.